NEK VT Rocks. My guest today is not really a guest because he lives here. It's Tod Pronto. And we're going to talk about community access TV.
Yeah.
And here's what's really weird. The reason for doing this is I've had a couple of conversations with people recently who said things like, how come NEK-TV isn't filming X, Y, or Z?
Yeah.
Because they think of you as a public television station, sort of like Vermont Public TV.
Yeah.
And the differential between community access and public access TV are two different things, and it's not clear.
Yeah, it's interesting because the way Comcast breaks us down is we have a government access channel and a public access channel, but it's not public access like you said, like Vermont Public Television.
Yes.
It really is community television.
Right.
Meaning that most of our programming comes from the community.
Yeah.
We're fortunate that there are so many of us. The state of Vermont has, I'm probably going to get this number wrong, but I think 27 television public access stations. We're one of the, per capita, we're the largest state with the most, pretty much every community has their own, which is amazing. Most states aren't like that. So luckily, we're able to share programming, which is really helpful right now because it's a lot harder to find programming.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. So I guess that would be useful is to explain how it is if somebody has a bright idea for a show, or even not bright,
or
but just
not
an
bright.
idea. Yeah, right.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, and I don't know if people ever ask you this, but they think that the people that do the shows here work here.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Do people ask you like?
They assume that I'm paid to work here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I'm sure we could give you like a coffee mug or something at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one of the misconceptions. Like I get phone calls here every once in a while asking to talk to Scott Wheeler, and I'm like, no, he doesn't work here.
Right.
We are here solely for the community to access us.
Right.
To produce a show, as long as it's not commercial.
Right.
So you can't do. You can't. Well, I guess this is a good way to explain it. Like you can do a cooking show, and you can do your cooking show at the East Side restaurant.
Right.
And you can say that you're cooking at the East Side restaurant, but you cannot make it an advertisement for the East Side restaurant.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Or for the cookies that you want to make and sell.
Right. Yeah. That's.
You can show the technique, but not market the cookies from there.
Yeah. So if you're an artist and you come on and you paint, you can't say this painting's for sale for, whatever, $100. $200. Just go to my website. You can tell people to go to your website to check out your work. It's kind of a fine line, but that's what makes it a nonprofit.
Right.
And that's what makes it accessible to the community. And the other thing that we exist for, and it's incredibly important, is for you to be able to exercise your right to free speech.
Right.
And that's actually 100% why we were here. Is that Congress in like I'm probably gonna get this date wrong, but it was like 1977 or something when cable companies started really spreading out and taking over. They said you can do that, but you have to provide access to your community to be able to do their own programming. So that's when cable television basically invented public access TV, which is different than Vermont Public Television. So Vermont Public Television, the reason they do funding drives all the time and they interrupt the program 300 times. Yeah. I probably shouldn't say this, but I tape the programs that I want to watch so I can fast forward. Never watch it live. Yeah, except their commercials are 8 minutes long. But the reason they do that is they have to pay the cable companies for their channel
Right.
to be on there. And that's no small amount of
No.
money. We do not have to. We are actually funded by the cable companies. And so we don't have to pay. If we had to pay to have our channels on the air, we would not be on the air. We would
Right.
not be able to. Our entire budget for the year is not
It's
enough
tiny.
to even be on one channel. Yeah.
Yeah. And this station has 2 channels,
Yes. Yep.
which is pretty impressive.
Most do, and there's the availability to go to 3 at some point.
Wow.
But right now it's probably not going to happen just because it's a lot harder to find events out in the community to film. And we do film some of our own, but we largely rely on people like you who are
Right.
community producers, or what they're called. And so this is Pam's show. This is not NEK-TV's show.
Right.
So Pam can do anything she wants with it except for make money off of it.
I was about to sell this show.
You were going to syndicate,
Done.
weren't you?
Yeah.
I heard NBC was going to offer you a lot of money.
Really? I wish you'd tell me that. Yeah, the other thing that I've done from here, and that was before I started doing this show, was I've borrowed cameras from here
Yeah.
and gone out and filmed things.
Yeah, we do that, and we can also teach you how to edit stuff. We have
Right.
we have some editing bays. Soon to be getting a new computer because my computer died, so we're rebuilding my old computer
Wow.
for the purpose of editing only. But yeah, you know, it's lost a little bit of allure in the past few years because of things like YouTube and you know these things.
Right.
But it's still just as important to have an outlet on television as well, because not everybody has good internet connections around
And
here.
certainly up here.
Yeah.
And that little thing you just waved at me,
Yeah.
many of us don't have a highly functional version of that because we have such, I was going to use a rude word, limited service up here that
limited.
it's very difficult to use one and then be
Yeah.
able to access it.
Yeah, if it weren't for Wi-Fi in my house, I would not be able to make a phone call.
Exactly.
When I go home, yeah.
Exactly, and that's really challenging. So, or to receive phone calls. So if that's your only means of communication, too bad.
Yeah.
We have a landline because
Yeah.
despite the fact we live in Newport, we live in an area that has really poor
There's-
access to service because of the lake.
The lake and the trees.
Yes.
You're kind of nestled into.
Yeah.
But we have, you know, years ago we were located in the school and at North Country before they built the Career Center.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is before my time, but I think the misconception then was that we were part of the school and we were not. The good thing about that was there was a lot more student involvement because we were
Right.
there and we were accessible, and it was before YouTube and before cell phones and TikTok and
Well, TikTok's TikToked off right now.
for right now it's yeah.
Yeah.
But so the younger generation definitely doesn't have the interest in us that it used to, because you can, I mean, I could be broadcasting this live on my phone right now to Facebook if I wanted to, you know. But
And you mean you don't want to?
no. I mean, sure. No, I'm
No.
just kidding. But the availability to be able to come and to access a studio and to produce things and to learn how to edit your own videos
Right.
is a resource that YouTube certainly does not provide.
Right.
And that's what we're here for. And yeah, if
And
you,
that's really important.
yeah, and it even goes to if a friend of yours is, I don't know, getting married or something, and you want to film it, you know, you can do that. The thing is you can't make money off of it. And I know that nobody wants to sell their wedding videos.
You never know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not particularly interested in learning to edit,
yeah,
but to film something like a concert here would be fabulous, and to be able to use that to highlight an organization or a cause.
yeah.
Mac was planning on running a workshop in here where Terry DeFazio was going to teach a drum class.
Yes.
Of course, COVID has shut all that down.
Yeah.
But when it opens up, I would hope that something like that can be filmed
Yeah.
and edited down so that it's something that's useful, that
Yeah.
can teach that skill.
Absolutely, and that actually is also one of the prerequisites. You know, if you do use our facilities, you do own the master recording.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever you want with it. We do ask that we can air it though.
Yes.
So we can have obviously. So yeah, when Terry does a drum clinic for Mac,
Mm-hmm.
it's great for Mac, it's great for the people that come in, it's also something we can air.
Yeah,
If
and
people
it's
watch
great
it.
for kids who want to learn to drum.
Yeah, and that'll gather interest in that, it'll gather interest in Mac, and that's, you don't need to outrightly advertise to interest people. In fact, most of the time, I think if you can gather their interest without
Right.
selling them something,
Yes,
they'll be more apt to. Yeah.
absolutely.
And that's what we do. I mean, hopefully that's what we do, and we do it well for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other services that you've been providing is a visual recording
Mhm.
of city council meetings
Yes.
up
Is-
until recently.
yeah, as long as technology doesn't fail me.
Yes, but
They're
it's
a
not
little-
always your technology that's failing, it's what's being used by the city,
Yeah.
unfortunately, to record those meetings. It's
Though-
horrible.
Though I will admit that the last meeting, the technology failure was right here, and I forgot about the meeting.
Oops.
I think it's because they were 2 weeks in a row,
Yeah, they
and
were.
I'm used to the every other week. Yeah, I mean, we were a physical presence at those meetings,
Yes,
which those meetings are not taking place physically right now, so
right.
we're grabbing them online like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually offered a lot of, I've taught a lot of people to use Zoom in the past few months. It's slowed
Mm-hmm.
down a little bit now because most people are familiar, but when everything really started, I was teaching people how to use Zoom or Skype or whatever, and showing people how to like edit real quickly on iMovie or whatever they had at home.
Right.
So that was great that we were that type of resource, but it's certainly tougher for us right now as it is for everybody because there's really just nothing going on in the community.
I know.
And every once in a while there is. The problem is we don't find out about it in time. It's like the day before. Can
Right.
you film this? Well,
If I'd known last week,
yeah, and we're a limited staff as well. I mean, 3/4 of the staff is sitting in this room right now. Or, is my math correct?
probably not.
2/3, that's what I meant to say. Thank you, Ted.
2/3, right.
2/3 of the staff is in this room right now, yeah.
Well, one's invisible, but
Yeah.
but he's in this room.
Yes. And unfortunately, we had to cut back on our staff.
Which is really sad.
Yeah, I mean, our funding comes from Comcast subscribers, and when people are not working,
Right.
they choose to spend their money on things more important than cable, and
Like food.
like food. Yeah, and to
Yeah.
us, cable is important, but
Right.
you know,
So is eating.
cable is also not cheap.
No.
I-
No. Cable
totally.
is outrageous.
It is. Yeah,
And I think many of us would love to be able to cut our ties with cable.
but you don't have good enough internet to.
That's exactly right. And there would be a downside to that, which would be that we would lose things like community access.
Yeah, and unfortunately, for many people in this area live out past where the cable wires stop.
Yeah.
And they have satellite,
Mhm.
and we're not on satellite. Satellite's not regulated like cable to
Mhm.
provide public
Right.
access. So we're slowly moving towards, I mean, almost everything we shoot, we put on YouTube.
Mhm.
Like this show is on YouTube.
Right.
And eventually, my hope is to develop a Roku app and an Apple TV app. So if you have that stuff at home, then that's, of course, it still depends on the internet.
Right.
But we don't have any over-the-air signal, which, if you've got rabbit ears, I guess you're not watching this right now.
No.
Yeah.
So from where you sit as a producer, is it better to have somebody who comes up with an idea for a one-off show or for a series? I didn't intend doing a series when I started I did a one-off show to start off with,
Yeah.
and then kept going.
Yeah, yeah.
However many years ago that was now.
It was at our old building, so
Yeah.
maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It depends. It's certainly it's more helpful for us to have a weekly or a monthly show because we have to report our numbers to Comcast
Right.
to show how much the public is utilizing our services. But a one-off show is certainly fine as well. If you've got something coming up that you really want to talk about, you can certainly do that. But if you want to do something more reoccurring, that's great. It does, like, we will do the editing for you if need be. We'll teach you how to do it too, and then you'll have more control.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, so you're at the mercy of us.
I don't care. I might, but
But you're responsible for finding your guests and your
Right.
content. Like, that's one thing that we don't do. We don't produce the show. So in this case, like, Pam is the producer of the show. It's her show.
and I hunt people down.
And she hunts people down, yeah. And we won't do that for you, but we'll provide you a place to do it. We'll film you. And also, because we're a nonprofit, we do depend on money from Comcast, but also donations. So later today, for example, I'm going down to Prouty Beach with the Watershed Association.
Pulling weeds.
Yeah, they've got the Northwood Stewardship Center, I
Right.
believe, coming to, and I don't even know how to say the name of this.
Phragmites.
That's exactly what it is.
I know. I had an invitation to go pull weeds, and actually I would have gone, but I'm working at NEK this afternoon.
Oh.
It would have been fun.
Well, I'm going to film it.
Oh, that's great.
Because they needed somebody to film it.
Yeah.
So they could do the demonstration. And so, we will do that. And they will most likely give us a small donation.
It's great.
And I'll learn about
Phragmites. And how invasive it is and what it does. It's very pretty. It's that thing with the reeds and the sort of feathers coming
Oh,
off
that's
it.
what, okay. See,
Yeah.
I didn't even, the only thing I've heard of is like milfoil. And that's
That's what
different.
floats on the surface with
Yeah.
pieces that come up.
And seaweed, of course. Because
Of
I did
course.
grow up near Prouty Beach, so I'm very familiar with seaweed.
Yeah.
Didn't start eating it until my 20s, though.
It's delicious.
It is very good.
I currently want to be rinsing it really well, but
Do you eat, like, the seaweed that we eat wouldn't come from, like, a lake here, though? Like, would it? I don't
No.
know. We don't want locally sourced seaweed in this
yeah,
case.
the seaweed that we eat comes from the ocean, literally,
Right.
or is farmed. Particularly off the coast of Maine, they farm it.
Yeah. Well, we could collect a bunch of seaweed and sell it
Start
at
a
the
farm?
farmer's market.
Go
Locally
for it.
sourced, organic,
Go for
Mount for Magog seaweed.
We might have to question the organic piece, but
Well, that's true. Locally sourced,
go for it.
unique flavor.
Does this count as advertising a business?
Because we haven't started the business yet,
Oh,
no.
It's legit.
This is just an idea.
What a relief. So how far ahead should people be able to contact you?
If it's brand new, 2 weeks is good. If it's an ongoing series, once you have it established, like, you have a time slot. Basically, we assign you a time slot.
Right.
And what we generally do is before we assign you a time slot, you have to produce 3 shows. So if you plan to do a monthly show or a weekly show, we won't give you an official time slot until after 3 shows. It's in our rules and regulations. You do have to read that and
bylaws.
sign that. Yeah. And the reason is a lot of times people will be very excited and they'll do 1 or 2 shows and then we never hear
They
from
find
them
it's
again.
hard work.
Yeah, it's not easy, right?
No.
I mean,
It's not.
no. You're getting people to come in for free
Right.
to do your show.
In the middle
because-
of the day.
In the middle of the day, yeah. I'm here by default today.
Right. But for people who have a day job, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
And there's the scare factor. It's, oh Lord, I'm going to be talking on TV. I can't handle that. I always turn off the
Yeah.
monitor in here because I don't want to see it.
You see a lot of people that are very nervous before it starts, but then once it gets going, they
Exactly.
realize
Once it's a discussion, then it truly is fun.
yeah.
I get to learn a ton of things I'd never have learned otherwise.
Yeah, me too, because I'm usually sitting behind the glass.
Right.
The other thing you can do is if you are somebody that produces your own videos, whether you do it on a cell phone or a video camera, you can submit them to us for air, which is great if you're an independent producer of films or shorts or skits or whatever, and you put your stuff on your website or on YouTube. It's still good to give us the content because we reach a demographic that's not watching those mediums, and that's also something that you can do. It does have to fall within certain guidelines. I mean, there can be no nudity or
Obscenity.
basically look at FCC standards,
Right.
and if it violates any of those, don't even bother bringing them to us. But there's a lot you can get away with within the FCC standards.
Your shows also get picked up by other networks, which is really interesting to me. I did a show about the curling club, the one that's just over the border. And one of the things that we discussed in that show was that it was possible for people with significant physical challenges to curl.
Yeah.
And because of that show, somebody saw it down in another county, way south of here, and came up to curl in a wheelchair.
Wow.
It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was shocked. He'd seen Orange County somewhere. He
Okay.
picked it up.
That's down by like Barrie, I think.
I guess.
I think.
He just turned on his TV one day and seen this discussion.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's something that's not too localized, like if it's something that's, very specific to a very specific day and time and area, it might not be something that gathers a lot of interest throughout the other networks. But if it's something like that, or a festival or whatever, we do have something called the VMX, which is the Vermont Media Exchange, because it's cool to spell X with just the X.
The X is being stuck in every word right now, which is nuts. But
we've been doing it for 10 years. But it's called the VMX, and all of us public access stations in Vermont share between all of us and outside of Vermont. If we have the server that we use, this is a little technical and weird, but the server that we use is by a company called Telview, and they also are involved in this. And if you put that up and you make it available to anybody else that has a Telview server, which is thousands of television stations across the country, public access, your show can also be put on that.
Cool.
And then it's really up to interest.
Right.
So somebody was searching activities to do on the Canadian border, or specifically curling or winter sports or something, and we put those little tag words in there, and that came up. They downloaded your show and aired it, and you have the potential to be seen. Cynthia Shelton, you had her in here. She's a artist. She's also the ambassador for NASA for this area. And she did a little 15-minute filler called Shelter in Space, where she built a rocket ship out of household materials, and that's been picked up by a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Of public access stations inside Vermont and outside of Vermont. Just somebody was interested in space. So it does give you the opportunity to be discovered beyond just your Facebook pages. And here's the other thing that's good to remember is, as far as we know, public access is a constant. As long as cable is available, we will be here. And we're currently fighting to start to get some of the revenue from internet sales, because eventually cable is going to go the way of the dinosaur, and the internet will
Right.
rule the land. And so we're in that mediation process right now. But public access will exist in one way or another, and it will give you a chance to exercise your free speech or share your ideas. Facebook and YouTube and all of that stuff is here right now. But if at any time they decide that they're done,
They pull the plug.
they pull the plug
And it's all gone.
You're gone. All of it's gone. And that's one thing I don't think a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sears was a huge company for hundreds of years,
Yep.
and Sears is pretty much no more. And at some point, Facebook will be no more. It might be 30 years down the road. It might be.
I think it'll be a lot sooner.
It might be next week.
Lot sooner.
YouTube is owned by Google, so pretty much you'll probably start to get your Social Security from YouTube at some point. But
Yeah.
but that is true. Those platforms are not your platforms. You agree to their terms and conditions to put
Right.
your content on that. They can decide at any time, and we can too if we think you violate FCC standards or whatever. But we certainly will not just disappear because our investors and shareholders weren't making money anymore, and they
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I mean, we sort of cruise along assuming that stuff is going to be here forever,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it isn't. I wrote
Yeah.
for a health magazine for a lot of years. One day it all
it's
vanished.
just gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Poof.
Yeah. MySpace
Yeah,
was huge at one
it
point.
was.
Yeah, I know. I've several photographers and writers that have written for magazines that just don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because magazines are. I like something tangible,
I
something
know.
that you can
I do
hold.
too.
Yeah.
And there was a record for a while hanging out in cyberspace somewhere. Poof, gone.
Oh, there's not even an
There's
online.
not even an online presence anymore. The whole thing went.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but that can happen. And that will happen with Facebook someday.
Sure, and it might be something else, but
Yeah, but that doesn't bring back what you've already left sitting out there. It's just that we assume it's always there.
yeah.
But nothing is,
No, and I
including
mean,
us.
and I shouldn't say that we're going to last for absolutely ever, but
No.
I think public access is going to be a more consistent and constant way of being able to get your view out without having
Right.
to worry about we're
Right.
not going to pull your profile because you made somebody mad or
Right,
because you don't have a profile on here. But the other aspect of that too is if you come in and you do a show and you learn how to produce one,
Yeah.
that's a viable skill that you can take
Yes.
with you.
Anywhere else.
Yeah.
And if you have a really strong point of view about something, I know people can come in, not have guests,
Sure.
just share their point of view,
Oh, absolutely.
which is mind-blowing to me, but they can.
Yeah, as long as, like I said, the FCC regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're not threatening to overthrow the government or pornography or
Right.
there's other things in there. That's not to say that we won't run a disclaimer before and after your show.
Fair enough.
Because our board of directors and us employees don't want to, and I get that all the time. I've fielded many phone calls and emails from people that think some producers are, our employees or speak directly for us and the board.
Right.
And I said, no, there's a disclaimer there. You are the producer of your show and it's your viewpoints. It's not
Yeah.
NEK-TV's viewpoints, which is tough to distinguish from at some points, but it's very important.
Yes.
I think it's very important to be able to give people the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if somebody does have an idea that they would like to turn into a show,
Yep.
or just as a one-off,
Yeah.
how do they go about that?
They can call us at 334-0264. 0264. Oh my God, I forget the number. 334-0264, or You can find us on Facebook.
Right.
You can send us an email. My email is director@nektv.com. You can also go to nektv.com, contact us, and what we'll generally do is set up an appointment with you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll come in, we'll give you a tour, explain how it works, and then if you want to do a show, we give you our rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And in them you'll read stuff like you can't make it for profit and blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
You sign that, and as soon as you sign that, you're good to go. And then you do need to produce 3 shows consistently before you get an actual time slot
Right.
on the air. But as soon as you produce a show, it will air. It just won't be at a certain time.
Yeah.
But that's really all there is to it. It's pretty easy, and we're here to film, to help you edit.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to learn to edit yourself, we
Mm-hmm.
have computer bays set up where you can use the computers, and we offer our technical assistance. And computers are finicky, so
Yeah, tell me about it.
it's different every day. But that's really all there is to it. Is just meet with us, and whatever your idea is, it's your idea, and we'll help you bring it out to the world.
That's great.
Yeah,
Because what I
it's
would
very
love
fun.
to see, and really where my goal is with this, is to see a lot of younger people coming forward,
Yeah.
because I know they've got ideas.
I agree. I would love to. We're certainly a higher age demographic right now, and I think some of that
And
is
how.
and how, yeah. But I think some of that is just social media and
Yeah.
instant. That's the one thing that you won't get with this show, because this show's not going to air for like a week or so
Right.
from when we tape it. So you're not going to get that instant gratification that you get the second you put something out on online and then sit there and see how many likes you got and how
Yeah.
many comments you got.
But that's so fragile. I mean, that's gone in a heartbeat. You
Yeah.
get the instant gratification, and then poof, it's gone. You need
Yeah.
your next fix.
Yeah,
And it is an addiction.
It is. It's fleeting for sure.
Yeah. But
Um,
this is something that can have much more meaning through time.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
something that somebody will then have a YouTube video of as well that they can use in any way they choose.
Yep. Yeah, we'll give you the MP4, or we'll burn it to a DVD, or both, so
Yeah.
you can archive it. The DVD's your hard copy
Mm-hmm.
that can't be encrypted by vicious malware that attacks a server. The only thing it can be encrypted by is a natural disaster that physically ruins the
Right.
DVD. Which,
Or your own lack of storage space
yeah.
for your DVDs.
Yeah, yeah. I always wonder if years down the road, long after we're gone and new archaeologists are digging us up, if they're gonna like pull out a DVD or a thumb drive and be like,
What is
"What
this?
the hell is this?" Where at least we were able to see cave walls
Yeah.
painted and etched in, and if you find a DVD or a thumb drive but not a computer,
How do you plug it in onto what?
these primitive people were weird.
Well, on that highly technical note, we're
And the
out of
cloud is not
time.
really a
Yay! So leaving us with the visual image of wondering where to put a thumb drive.
I wonder that all the time.
I'm sure you do. Thank you for doing this. And
Absolutely.
what I hope it does is get some people to come in.
Me too.
Really do.
Yeah, and we're having a harder time finding stuff right now because we're not the media.
Right.
And we're not out covering stories.
And there's not much out there to cover.
There's not much out there to cover, no. And we always find out about it 20 minutes before it happens.
Yeah. So enjoy your pulling of Phragmites tomorrow. And
Oh, it's right
today,
after
oh,
this.
that's right, it's today.
I'm going to the beach right after this.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you.